Emma thought she had married the perfect man. David was charming, successful, and respected in their community. But behind the closed doors of their picture-perfect marriage, he was hiding a secret life so shocking that when Emma uncovered it, everything she believed about love, trust, and family collapsed in an instant. This is the story of how one wife's suspicion led to the unraveling of a double life built on lies. From the outside, Emma and David's life looked like something out of a magazine. They had a well-kept house in a safe neighborhood, friendly neighbors who often waved as they passed by, and a marriage that seemed solid to anyone watching from a distance. Emma believed she had built a happy life. She had devoted herself to her husband, cared for their home, and supported his career. David, in return, appeared to provide everything a partner should. He was attentive, successful at work, and always ready with a smile. People around them often said they were the kind of couple that gave others hope, but appearances can be dangerously misleading. David's secret life began to show itself in the smallest of ways. He started working later than usual, coming home tired and distracted. At first, Emma thought nothing of it. After all, long hours were part of his demanding job. She told herself it was normal, even admirable, that he worked so hard. But then, the business trips began. A day here, a weekend there. They gradually grew more frequent, stretching into week-long absences. Emma tried to be supportive, reassuring herself that travel was simply part of his career. Still, a small voice inside her whispered that something wasn't right. Here's a question for you. If your partner suddenly started leaving on unexplained trips, would you trust their story? Or would you start to wonder what was really going on? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're here, remember to subscribe so you never miss these chilling stories. At first, Emma brushed aside her doubts. She told herself that every marriage went through phases, that David was simply under stress. But then came the changes in his behavior at home. His phone, once left casually on the kitchen counter, was now always in his pocket. He stepped outside to take calls, lowering his voice so she couldn't overhear. When Emma asked about his day, his answers grew shorter, almost rehearsed. She began to feel like a stranger in her own marriage. Still, Emma wanted to believe the best. She remembered the man she fell in love with, the man who once surprised her with flowers, who laughed with her late into the night, who promised her that nothing would ever come between them. She clung to those memories, hoping that whatever was causing the distance would pass. But her instincts told her the truth was far more unsettling. Think about it. How well do we really know the people closest to us? Could your partner, your friend, or even your family member be hiding something behind closed doors? It's a question worth asking. Because stories like Emma's prove that secrets can grow in even the most ordinary lives. Emma's friends noticed the changes too. They would ask where David was when he missed another gathering, another dinner, another birthday. Emma repeated his excuses, but even she stopped believing them after a while. A feeling of unease settled into her daily life, a heaviness she couldn't shake. Nights felt longer when David was away, and even when he was home, the silence between them spoke louder than words. One evening, Emma watched him from across the room. David was scrolling through his phone, his face lit up by the glow of the screen. He smiled faintly at something she couldn't see, and for a moment, it felt like he wasn't even there with her. It was in that instant that she knew something was terribly wrong. If you're watching this right now, ask yourself, would you ignore the signs, or would you start digging for answers? Comment below with what you would do in Emma's place. And don't forget to hit the like button if you want more stories that uncover the hidden darkness in everyday lives. Emma lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. She wanted to believe David's stories. She wanted to believe that their marriage was unshakable. But deep down, she understood that trust, once cracked, doesn't repair itself easily. The questions swirling in her mind would not go away. Where was he really going? Who was he with? And why was she only now realizing that the man she thought she knew might be a stranger after all? The truth was already creeping closer, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And when it did, Emma's world would never be the same again. The first real clue came on an ordinary afternoon. Emma was sorting through the mail when she noticed an envelope addressed to David. Nothing unusual about that, except the envelope contained a bank statement, and she usually left those unopened for him. But this time, something nudged her to take a look. Curiosity, unease, instinct, whatever it was, it pushed her to tear it open. As her eyes scanned the page, her stomach tightened. There were charges she couldn't explain. Hotel stays in the city, expensive restaurant dinners, and jewelry purchases that had never made their way to her. At first, She told herself it had to be a mistake. Maybe it was for clients, or maybe work reimbursed him for such things. She even considered the possibility of fraud, but deep down, she knew that wasn't the case. Each charge lined up too neatly with the weekends he had been traveling. The timing was too perfect to be random. Think about it. What would you do if you found unexplained charges on your partner's account? Would you confront them immediately, or would you wait and gather proof? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're finding this story gripping so far, make sure to subscribe. More chilling stories are waiting for you. Emma decided not to say anything right away. Instead, she paid closer attention. Every detail that once seemed small now felt heavy with meaning. When David came home late, she noted the time. When he mentioned another trip, she watched his expression carefully, noticing the way he avoided her eyes. The once smooth explanations now sounded thin, like someone repeating a line they'd rehearsed too many times. Her unease grew when she stumbled upon something unexpected. One evening, while looking for tape in his office desk, she found a small key tucked inside a drawer. It didn't match any of the locks in their house. It wasn't for the car. Emma turned it over in her hand, wondering why David would have hidden it there. She placed it back carefully, her heart pounding. A secret key meant a secret door, and she needed to know where it led. Here's a question for you. If you discovered a hidden key in your partner's belongings, would you ignore it, or would you try to find out what it opened? Leave your answer below. The days that followed were some of the longest of Emma's life. She carried the weight of her suspicions everywhere she went. While her friends laughed over coffee, she forced herself to smile, all the while imagining what David was doing behind her back. Nights were worse. She lay awake beside him, staring into the dark, listening to his steady breathing, wondering how many lies he had told her that day. Then came another clue. A call came in while David was in the shower. The name was unfamiliar, just a first name on the screen, but the way his hand darted for the phone when he heard it buzz told Emma everything she needed to know. He glanced at the missed call, his jaw tightening before he set the phone face down. He offered no explanation. She didn't ask, but she didn't forget. Emma began to piece things together like a puzzle. The bank statements, the secretive phone calls, the sudden trips, the hidden key. They weren't separate events. They were connected threads, leading her toward something she couldn't yet see but could feel closing in. Her fear and suspicion mixed with determination. She needed proof. She needed the truth. Think about it. How far would you go to uncover a lie? Would you follow your partner, check their belongings, or wait for them to slip up? Comment your thoughts. And if you're still with us, hit that like button. It helps bring more people into these stories of hidden betrayal. Emma didn't confront David right away. Instead, she waited, planning carefully. She pretended not to notice his distracted behavior, his late-night calls, or the mysterious absences. But inside, she was building a case. The woman who once trusted him without question was now studying his every move, memorizing the details, quietly preparing for the moment she would uncover everything. Her patience was soon rewarded. The hidden key, the bank statements, the unexplained charges, all of it would lead her to the discovery that shattered her life. She was close, closer than she realized, to learning the truth about her husband's double life, and once she found it, there would be no going back. The opportunity came on a gray afternoon when David claimed he was leaving for yet another business trip. Emma watched him pack his suitcase, listened to the same rehearsed explanations about meetings and long hours, and felt the same knot tightening in her stomach. But this time, she wasn't going to stay behind and wonder. As soon as he drove away, she took the small, unfamiliar key she had found in his office, and set out to see where it led. Her hands gripped the steering wheel tightly as she drove across town. The address she had pieced together from a crumpled slip of paper in his jacket pocket directed her to a quiet street lined with older apartment buildings, the kind of place most people would overlook, ordinary and unremarkable. But for Emma, it felt like the edge of a cliff she was about to step off. When she reached the building, her heart pounded so hard she thought it might give her away. She hesitated at the entrance, staring at the rows of doors, each hiding a life behind it. Would the key even work? What if she was wrong? What if she was about to open a door that would change everything? The key slid into the lock smoothly, as if it belonged there. The door clicked open, and Emma stepped inside. The air was still, carrying a faint scent of cologne she recognized immediately as David's. But the apartment was not empty. It was furnished, lived in, and disturbingly personal. The first thing she noticed were the photographs on the walls. David's face smiled back at her, but not with her. The images showed him with another woman, laughing together in a park, holding hands at a restaurant, sitting close on a couch that now stood just a few feet away. Emma's stomach twisted as she stared at them, each picture a knife cutting through the life she thought she had. She walked further inside, her eyes scanning the details. The drawers in the bedroom held men's clothes, folded neatly. The bathroom cabinet had his shaving cream, his cologne, even the same brand of razor he used at home. There was no doubt this wasn't a hotel or a temporary place. It was a home, one he shared with someone else. The woman in the photographs wasn't a stranger either. Emma's heart nearly stopped when she realized who it was. She had seen her before at their local gym, exchanging polite smiles in the locker room, even chatting casually once or twice. The betrayal cut deeper, knowing that the other woman wasn't far away or anonymous. She was someone who had been within reach of Emma's everyday life. Think about this for a moment. What would you do if you discovered your partner had built an entirely separate life just miles away from your home? Could you stay silent? Could you pretend nothing happened? Comment your thoughts below. And if this story has you hooked, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the final twists. Emma's mind spun as she explored the apartment. Every corner revealed another reminder that her husband had been living a lie. There were receipts on the counter for groceries she had never seen, holiday decorations she had never touched, and a drawer filled with cards, birthday and anniversary notes written to the other woman. Each item told her that David had not just strayed, but had crafted a complete second existence. The weight of it all pressed down on her chest. She sank into a chair, staring at the evidence around her, her hands trembling. How long had it been going on? How much of their marriage had been real, and how much had been performance? The man she thought she knew had divided himself between two worlds, and she was only now realizing she had been living in the shadows of one of them. Her discovery wasn't just about betrayal. It was about deception so carefully constructed that she almost admired the detail. He had covered his tracks well, but not well enough. Emma now understood why the business trips had become more frequent, why his phone was guarded, why he smiled at private messages she never saw. It all made sense, but in the most devastating way possible. As Emma left the apartment that day, locking the door behind her, she knew her life would never return to what it once was. She had seen too much to go back. The truth was out, and even though David didn't know it yet, his double life was beginning to unravel. The questions still lingered. Why had he done it? How long had it gone on? And how far was he willing to go to keep it hidden? Emma didn't have those answers yet, but she would soon. And when the final pieces fell into place, the betrayal would be even deeper than she imagined. The night Emma finally confronted David was one she would never forget. She had rehearsed it in her mind countless times, wondering what his reaction might be, how he might deny it, and whether she would have the strength to hold her ground. When the moment came, her voice was steady, but her heart pounded so loudly she thought it might betray her. She told him what she had found, described the apartment, the photographs, the clothes, the other woman. For a moment, silence hung in the air like a heavy curtain. Then, without much hesitation, David admitted it. The denial Emma had expected never came. Instead, the truth spilled out like poison that had been waiting too long to be released. David confessed that he had been living a double life for years. The business trips were lies, the hotel charges were cover, and the apartment was a second home. The woman Emma had recognized at the gym was not just a fling, she was part of his carefully constructed alternate world. To Emma's horror, the woman believed he was divorced, free to love and live as if his past had been wiped away. Every time he left their home, he stepped into another life where Emma did not exist. The weight of his betrayal was crushing. But as painful as the affair was, what Emma learned next cut even deeper. The financial irregularities she had seen weren't just about dinners or gifts. David had been draining their joint accounts, slowly and deliberately, to support the second household. Vacations, rent, bills, and luxuries for the other woman had all come from money Emma thought was being saved for their future. The trips they never took, the renovations she had postponed, the plans they had dreamed of, all of it had been stolen to fund his deception. The more he revealed, the less human he seemed to her. He had balanced his lives with precision, playing the role of husband in one world and partner in another, never slipping, never missing a beat. It wasn't carelessness that exposed him, it was Emma's persistence, her refusal to ignore the uneasy feeling in her gut. Without her digging, he might have gone on for years, perhaps even forever, splitting his existence between two women who both believed they knew the truth about him. Emma felt anger, sorrow, and disbelief collide inside her. She realized that every word of reassurance, every affectionate gesture, Every carefully planned excuse had been part of the act. She had been living alongside a man who had mastered deception to such an extent that she could barely remember where the lies ended and the truth began. What made it worse was the calmness with which he explained it. There were no tears, no pleas for forgiveness, just a cold explanation of logistics, as if the destruction of her life was nothing more than a detail in a story he controlled. The man she thought she loved had become a stranger before her eyes, and that stranger had taken everything she valued and reduced it to rubble. Emma knew immediately what she had to do. There was no saving this marriage, no repairing the cracks. She filed for divorce, determined to reclaim her life. But the aftermath was far from simple. Legal battles revealed the full extent of David's deceit. Not only had he drained their accounts, but he had taken out loans in both their names. Debts Emma had never agreed to suddenly became hers to fight. His betrayal had not only broken her heart, it had threatened her future. The second woman, too, was left shattered when the truth came out. She had built her life around lies as well, believing she was in a committed relationship with a man who had been free to love her. When she discovered Emma's existence, the illusion collapsed, leaving her with nothing but the realization that she had been a pawn in David's double life. For Emma, the road ahead was long. She had to rebuild her finances, her trust, and her sense of self. Friends and family rallied around her, shocked by the depth of the deception. Some urged her to focus on survival. Others encouraged her to seek justice. Emma chose to move forward quietly, determined to rise from the ruins without letting his betrayal define the rest of her life. In the end, David's perfect facade crumbled. The man who had once been admired in his community was exposed as a liar and a manipulator. His carefully balanced worlds had collided, leaving nothing but broken relationships and wrecked trust behind. For Emma, the pain was real, but so was her strength. She walked away from the life she had thought she knew, carrying scars but also carrying the knowledge that the truth, however painful, was better than living inside a lie. This story is a reminder that secrets cannot stay buried forever. Lies unravel, masks slip, and double lives eventually collapse. Trust is fragile, and once it's shattered, it can never be pieced back together the same way. Emma's story shows us that even when betrayal destroys what we hold most dear, there is a way forward, one built not on deception, but on the hard and painful truth.